Morning, everyone. This is Joe Scarice. Welcome. This is the Creative Bird Strategies House every Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll get started here in a few minutes. We are now live on Apple and Spotify, so I'm posting that site up. We're providing consistent education, networking, and hopefully some great strategies for our listeners and our engaged followers in the room. So I'll get started here in just a few minutes as I invite some people in. But I also have a special guest on the podcast, as I call him Oz Behind the Drape, my social media strategist and branding specialist and podcasting specialist here at L. Perkins of Perkatech. So we'll get some of his interjection a little bit on the podcast live. So we'll get started here in just a few minutes. I'm just going to invite a bunch of people in. I'll wait for some of our guests to come in as well and moderators, and we'll get started. And please follow us and download us in the Creative Birth Strategies podcast, which, I want to thank, I can't thank Clubhouse enough in bringing this together. It's been a great several years. We're celebrating over 2 years now being around here in the Clubhouse, and it kind of motivated me to get back into podcasting live. And I'm really here to hopefully provide insight and strategy for real estate professionals throughout the country. So I'm going to get some people invited up here and get started here in just a few minutes. All right. All righty. So let's get started with just some basic things. We have some great events coming up, and I'll post them, and we'll make some announcements to those as well. And we have now the podcast live on Apple and Spotify. So we're here to hopefully anybody that's really interested in getting themselves heard, getting themselves out there. We're really here to provide an opportunity to get you featured on our podcast. So if anybody needs to get some extra marketing and extra insight, we really would welcome you to be a guest of ours on the podcast. Not trying to put any pressure on anybody, but I want to extend that to our Clubhouse followers. We're going to always podcast the podcast, but I'd love to feature some of our special guests and our moderators when time permits for them. We typically do our filming on Saturdays and Sundays at our offices in South Philadelphia at New Bold Exchange, but we could do it virtual as well via Zoom. So I'd love to extend that to everybody here. Anybody needs to get some special push in their marketing strategy, I'd love to be part of that as we move on into this space. So let's talk about some updated news that I found very interesting this past week. I always like to feature some articles that caught my eye on two sites. It's easy to kind of go from there. I usually reference to Mortgage News Daily or DS News, both really good sites of updated content every day. They tie in a lot of other great articles that are out there. So the average rate again this week kind of fell around 6.9. The average, like I said, has been for the last 40 years has been around 7%. So things have not changed much. They have not changed much, but they've really have leveled off. It's a typical winter market. It's really now an investor play right now. There's an opportunity to identify properties. A lot of home buyer sentiment is heavy right now. You're not seeing a lot of movement on owner occupancy. I'm seeing a very heavy movement in the investment strategies right now. Some interesting articles I found on Mortgage News Daily this morning. Personal income increased 0.3% in December, but spending increased 0.7%. U.S. courts bankruptcies filings increased 17% in 2023, 42% below pre-pandemic levels. There was also an article I posted this past week on the amount of conversions that are happening in the office retail space throughout the country in the metro markets. High tick up on that, where we're seeing a lot of that movement up. Unemployment claims increased about 214,000 this past week. So some interesting movements in various. You're making more money, but you have less money to spend. You have some volatility in the rate still. You have commercial space looming where that will end up and how those dominoes will fall and impact the rental space. We'll yet to see. Interesting article on DS News this morning. Frozen out. House hunters stay home in face of harsh weather. The only people I see going out there in this cold, frigid weather are investors. They're not stopping. They're intensifying. One of my clients is even thinking about selling off some of his single family properties right now because there's such a lack of good real estate investment inventory, and then doubling down on 2 through 4 or even 5+ to 25 unit space right now. He's even considering opening a property management company of his own to keep things internal. So, we're going through the winter months. I think January, February, March is going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be a massive investor play. It's a great opportunity where there's a lack of competition out there willing to go out there in the cold. So again, I posted that this past week on all my social media channels. Another interesting article that I saw, rent prices declined for eighth consecutive month. I think rents are leveling off. I think the appeal comparatively to market rent versus affordable housing, aka Section 8, is becoming very engaging in the urban city settings, and how that will impact and bleed out into the suburban rural markets as the new work environment of the hybrid workspace is more prevalent than ever before. So I think you're going to see you're looking at heavy migrations into the Midwest where there's a better barrier of entry of standard of living, rental balance. The Northeast is leveling off. You're seeing higher vacancies. Um, but it'll be interesting to see how this goes into the spring market and into next year when you have a new inventory of rentals hitting the market, not a lot of properties for sale. So that'll be a very interesting landscape to look at. So today's discussion, how to build unlimited traffic on social media. You know, I'm going to use a great analogy, and I hope you can apply this to how you look at social media. And I have also Yordell Perkins on here, so if you tie into our podcast, you'll be hearing his insight, not here on Clubhouse. Yordell, I mean, we've met about almost a decade ago at a weekly breakfast we held in Philadelphia to get myself out there in front of a lot of people. My mentality always has been like the south of the border. If anybody's ever driven down to Florida from Northeast or driven up from Florida to the Northeast, there's a famous fireworks place called South of the Border, and there's 157 billboards on the way down to Florida, getting you all excited to get to this place called South of the Border. You get there, and it's the size of a house. You would think you're going to walk into this palatial, mansion or facility. It's a small warehouse that sells fireworks. It actually blew up once. And there's 147 billboards on the way back up from Florida, leading back to this small warehouse that sells that fireworks. My mentality is having the um proper presence consistently over and over and over and over again. More the billboard mentality, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, aka X, whether it's Instagram, whether it's YouTube, Google Business Profile, Zillow, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yordell, what's your thoughts on social media presence and a consistent manner? Does it start at LinkedIn? Does it start at Google? The profile. Do you create a great LinkedIn profile and then transpose that and just over and over and over again everywhere you can? Where does the consistency start for a real estate professional? Not just agent, real estate investor, real estate service, real estate agent. Where do you think it starts and where do you have to continue and be consistent?
Well, when it comes to social media platforms, I like to think of them as like different martial arts styles. And why I say that is like no one is going to necessarily work for everyone. Like if you're like a visual artist, like if you're into drawings and whatnot, your place might be, say, Pinterest. Whereas if you're some type of, say, an aspiring singer or vocal performer, or an up and coming comedian and you want to do the modern version of a mixtape, your place is going to be SoundCloud. Now, as far as real estate professionals, yeah, there's a small group of platforms that seem to work consistently for them, like your Facebook, your Google business page. That's a solid for pretty much everyone, and your LinkedIn. Yeah, so I would say, yeah, as far as that, those seem to be best for real estate professionals, but even within real estate professionals, yeah, you need to go to the platforms that are going to work best specifically for you. What works for a realtor is not necessarily the same thing as going to work for a mortgage lender, such as yourself, which in turn may not be the same thing that will work for a property manager. Now, there's going to be a lot of overlap, but there will also be some like intricate differences between just those three.
So leading into some hot topics on the real estate marketing trends in 2024. I really feel that you have to stay very interactive. Like if somebody makes a comment to your posting, I'm a big fan of inspiration, motivation, and education. So what motivates you in your space? What inspires you in your space? And providing education in your space, looking like a true leader or someone forging forward, being a thought leader in what you're doing. I love posting some great articles out there, providing insight. I love the interaction of discussion. We agree to disagree is what I typically tell people. But I think that whole public relationship brand and who you are and what is your why. It's not about just if you're a real estate agent. It's not just about posting listings or posting that you closed a deal. I'm going to tell you for a fact. I've been in the industry 24 years. I've never posted a picture of a closing. Why? It's already completed. Everybody knows what I do. I don't need to show off a closing. I want to highlight education, insight, and direction and strategy. I want to come across as a strategist, as a go-to. I'm not from a social media perspective, I'm not a fan of beating my chest of accomplishment. I feel your accomplishment should show through what you're giving back to individuals. I think a solid website and direction is very important. I think squeeze capture pages. We worked diligently. Yardell and myself, and my social media branding specialist, we put something together with Sarah Winsky and Yardell. We got a great site up for the Creative Bird Strategies, and we're putting up my own personal website. And then we're consulting with my wife's group, putting together a title company website. So we're very consistent in what we're doing. We set expectations. We're not depending on the website to make or break it. To me, a website is a billboard in the desert if nobody knows where to find you. What do people typically do when they're looking you up? They look you up on Google. When you Google search, where are you? What sites are you being found on? And is the right information being provided about you? Are the pictures up to date? How many times have you seen pictures of somebody and they're about 20 years behind? I mean, the picture that I just posted is about 2 weeks old. Okay. I want to stay abreast and forward thinking with people. I knew of a real estate agent, not going to name her, doesn't matter. She had a picture literally from 30 years ago as her picture for the last 20 years. She finally modernized it, and that's fine. I mean, if you're not secure about yourself, I mean, listen, you know, you got to look in the mirror, okay? So you really want to show a very good image, very good picture. Another thing, you don't want to be putting up your personal opinions on politics and religion and your thoughts in that direction. You want to stay neutral. If I'm having a bad day, the only people that know it are my personal friends and my personal acquaintances, my business associates. I'm not going to vet that on my Facebook, my LinkedIn, all my social media buckets. I'm going to be very consistent in what I'm doing. 3 to 4 postings a day. First thing in the morning is inspiration, then education, maybe an event, maybe something else. And I'm very consistent in what I do 7 days a week because social media is 24 hours, 7 days a week. It allows you to connect with vast amount of people through people. So like I have 5,000 connections on Facebook on 3 different profiles, but they also have thousands of connections, and their connections see what I post. So I get a lot of indirect inbound traffic. I'm always very focused on posting information for my personal business page as well. I have about 7,000 followers. I want to get it up to about 10,000 followers by the end of this year. That's a goal, and I'm obviously that's after we get our websites up and running with Yordell. I'm going to have Yordell focus on the Facebook page, but it's not all about Facebook. I think people underestimate the power of LinkedIn. I think they underestimate the power of Instagram and YouTube and Twitter. I think they're great social media buckets. You need to control your name on there as a brand, and I think that's very important. Good morning, Jim, and welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion, how to build unlimited traffic on social media. And let's get a quick update on the Great Mile High Real Estate Investors Summit.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Clubhouse. Prop T and ADU up on the stage and everybody down listening. Happy Saturday. Hey, I'm Jim Edenfield. I'm out in the Denver area. I live up in Broomfield. I own 2 meetup groups and a coaching program. And through those, we actually host 4 different meetups throughout the month. So we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of education, and we have a lot of good networking. People are working together and making deals. So number one, wherever you're at, find some local meetup groups and get involved. If there's not one near you, start one. One of our groups started out in a coffee shop before people, back in 2012. So that's what we do, and we're also hosting what Joe said, the Great Mile High Real Estate Investor Summit here in Denver in March. It's a multi-day event. We got speakers coming from all over the country. We're putting that together with Joe, our friend Linda at Realty 411, that travels the country and puts on great shows. So we're bringing people in from across the country. Going to be speaking all day Friday, all day Saturday. We do a bus tour Sunday. Lunch is included. It's going to be at the Curtis Hotel in downtown Denver. We got a great rate, which we only got a few rooms left, and I think we have about 10 rooms left on the block of $179 a night. The normal rate that weekend is going to be anywhere from $200 to $300. So Mr. Joe is going to be on the stage at least twice in the weekend, so come on down. It's going to be a great time. We have the final discount that is winding down February 15th. It goes away. Save $25. The code, I'll put the code in the chat, but it's buy now 25 and save 25. And the cool thing is thanks to this Clubhouse family, we've got people from here that across the country has registered and come. So come be a part of it. It's going to be a great weekend. It's going to be a fun weekend. Social media. Remember the WWW, what it stands for? World Wide Web. If you're a professional and you're wanting to promote yourself, you need to think of it, build your own web. In the center of that spider web, think of it as a spider web. The center of that is you.com. Just say, I'm going to pick Jessica out of the crowd down there. Jessica.com. That's going to be the focus. And as Joe mentioned, all these other different tools such as Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and so many other. LinkedIn is a great thing. All those are tools that you're going to use to put out all over the place, but they're all pointing back to Jessica.com. You want everything to point to Jessica.com. And and Joe said you want to have a consistent message across the spectrum, and you do have to be careful what you say out there. I know people have causes that they're passionate about, but I've seen not just business relationships end, but friendships have ended because different opinions, we'll say. I've got people that are on both sides of the fence that we're 180 out from each other, but we still be friends and we still carry on in business and hang out and be together. So be careful what you say out there. But yeah, they're all tools. They're all helpful. They're all useful. Use them, and don't just use one. Use them. Use your whole tool bag. You got a big tool bag. Use all the tools in there, and be consistent and reach out and connect with other people online. Say, hey Joe, I'm gonna support you, and Joe, you point people to me and support me, and we'll work together. Just so we can work together as a team in social media, just like we do as a team investing with contractors, bankers, agents. Work together, get your network going, and you'll do good. Joe, back to you.
Thanks, Jim, and I appreciate that. We got the site up, the link to the Great Mile Real Estate Investor Summit up above. We're going to be doing some extra heavy blasting over the next several weeks and some boost ads on behalf of the summit for Jim and Tim out there in Denver. Look forward to coming out and speaking on real estate investor mindset on Friday. And then on Saturday, we'll be discussing understanding asset-based lending. And I think those are two elements of what I can bring and my why and how I stay very consistent in what I do. As we get into 2024, mastering real estate social media strategies become vital for agents looking to and service providers looking to succeed in an increasingly digital marketplace. This year symbolized a very crucial juncture in highlighting the importance of effectively integrating social media into real estate practices. Staying ahead in a fast-paced digital environment means understanding and leveraging platforms strategically to maximize outreach and engagement in the real estate sector. Obviously, there's some great sites that you need to focus on: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, aka X, YouTube, TikTok. I like to control my TikTok profile and not really focus on TikTok. I don't feel it's a mature site from what I do from a lending site. But you also have to recognize ChatGPT and AI and how that's coming about. You need to at least stay educated in that and see how that's going to end up in some roles for you as a real estate professional. Yordell and I are slowly rolling out the websites. We're doing some heavy video work, and then I'm retaining a specialist strictly in the YouTube, Instagram, TikTok space. That's all they're going to focus on. Why? It's not something that Yordell and I want to focus on. We're focusing on more the branding awareness, the content strategy of what we're putting out. I'm very focused on making sure that my brand supports education, strategy, and asset-based lending. So that I have to be very focused on that and basically nail the into the wood that I am a commercial lender. I want people to really know and understand what I do in lending over and over again, so they really know my lane. They know what to come to me with. It's a very strategic discussion. It's a higher level discussion. Even if it's a newer investor, I want them to feel comfortable in reaching out to me in an inbound space. So I think the video work and the podcasting work, the updating of pictures, having my own personal website, softening my approach is allowing me to build my brand differently in a better why. So I think there's some trends that you need to look at and recognize. I mean, it's not all about putting a picture of yourself up. It's not all about giving your personal opinion on politics and religion. People do not care. People do not care about your closings. They care about what you're giving to them to enlighten their day. Okay. When you're posting something, there has to be true meaning behind it. Why are you posting that information? Why are you putting that information out there? It's not all about just listings, okay? We know what you do. You're a licensed real estate agent. What insight and data are you going to help us support our mindset to stay focused and following you? What is the appeal to following you? Okay? So think about what I'm saying. I'm not trying to insult anybody's intelligence. What I'm saying is you got to look beyond what everybody else is doing. You want to separate yourself, especially when, Jim brought a good point up. Holding an event and creating a focus point, like Yordell and I hold an event that I got away from events about 5 years ago when I was a stroke survivor, so I kind of took a break for a little bit. But we're diving slowly back into holding an event because people keep asking to meet up with me for coffee, lunch, and I want them to feel comfortable to coming to a space. So we are supporting a third Monday evening of the month in Philadelphia at our offices in South Philadelphia. Yordell, what's your thoughts on being a event leader, and how do you think that impacts, marketing for a real estate professional? Does that help help them push their social media agenda out there?
Absolutely. See, social media is a great thing, but it can only take you but so far. I mean, again, like at the end of the day, you need to get in front of people to kind of like make the deals, hammering them out and basically sign on the dotted line. I mean, that's not to say that you do that as at a networking event per se, but as kind of a half joke, like to tell people, like your potential leads and your potential extra members of your power teams, they want to know that you're not a bot in the matrix. Like they're actually like you're someone they can like reach out to and touch and see and visit and shake hands with.
Yeah, I think that personal touch, it's so funny. Like when I get to run into people via Clubhouse or via events, hey, I haven't seen you. Oh my God, you look like great, but you look great. Having that more intimate discussion. Like I went to an event Thursday night. There were some people I hadn't seen in years. Okay. And it was so just it was just so exciting meeting people, seeing people again, and saying, "Hey, how are you?" Because I've been traveling the last couple of years, of course, and I'm staying more local, regional over the next year, and focusing a little different on my game plan and my business plan. And wow, I love that article you posted the other week. It was just such a more higher level professional discussion. Oh, and a big announcement. I just want to forgot to let everybody know. I did accept a position as senior relationship manager at Bayport Funding. We are a nationwide direct private lender. Our money is extremely inexpensive on the long-term debt service coverage ratio environment. We have a strong appetite for fixed to flip, fixed to rent, much higher leverage than the average. Great rates on that as well. New construction, ground up development, portfolio lending. We're out there providing insight and strategy. We take a longer time in talking with you. We really want to understand what you're trying to do and how you tick. So if we could set up a strategy discussion, I'm here to hopefully earn that strategy opportunity with you. I really enjoy those type of deeper discussions to help you elevate your strategy and your business. And you should treat your real estate business as a business. Good morning, Prof T, and welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning, how to build unlimited traffic on social media.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Hi, Joe. Hi, Jim. Hello, everybody else. Hey, Ardell. How are you, my friend? Hey, this is Teresa Augustinelli, otherwise known as Prof T from Philly. I am an event speaker, a leadership trainer, and I'm also a published author of a book on mindset and how to overcome any challenges to become your best self. I am a John Maxwell team leadership coach, and I actually just spent the day with him. He came to Philadelphia. My husband's a real estate agent with Keller Williams, Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And the reason I say this, I think it's relevant because I was in a room full of 500 people or more, maybe everybody was a real estate agent, brokers, money lenders, mortgage people, and it was amazing. But before that, we had a private, intimate breakfast with John Maxwell. There was about maybe 100 of us, and I literally sat right in front of him, and we talked. I had a private conversation with him, and I was struck by this one thing, which we all, if you know John Maxwell, you know that he is a global leadership trainer, one of the highest paid speakers on the globe. And I want to tell you that no matter what he was doing or what was going on around him, no matter how much he's worth, he has an ability to just make you feel like you're the whole world at that moment. That, my friends, is influence. And if you are a leader, then you need to have influence. And leadership is nothing more than influence. And if you are a leader and no one's following you, then you are taking a walk all by yourself. Why do I say this? Because real estate agents, they're everywhere now. I was at 3 networking events that had at least 65 people in them. Okay, this was just in the last week. And probably 45 out of the 70 people were real estate agents. And they're all saying the same thing, that things are going to change. We're looking at a great turn. We're looking at an opportunity to really see things differently and tap into a whole nother level of leadership. So the reason I say this, and I'll land with this, your presence on screen and off screen is everything. How you show up at a networking event is how you need to show up online. How you show up online is how you need to show up in person. And this is what I do. People that call me are usually people saying, "Hey, I've got this new company, or I'm trying to reinvent myself. I've practiced. I've got all kinds of things going on, but I'm not meeting the people I need to meet. I'm not getting the level of business." And that's where I help people get situated, get started. I help them set up all of their social media. Because you're right, Joe. My first question to people is, if I Google you, what happens? Most people say, no idea. I don't even understand Google. But let me say this, a lot of people don't need it. I talked to so many real estate agents the last week or two, and they're fine. Their picture is 30 years old. They don't care. They've made millions. They're making their millions. And I mean millions, folks. They don't care about their social media. They're already where they need to be. Their word of mouth, they have their network. Okay, that's not a lot of people. So it is very important what you're talking about today. It is very important. And I do think that you need to have, and this is my personal opinion, you need to be personable online. I've been to so many of these kinds of talks, and I've listened to so many people pontificate and everything. People, yeah, they want to know what you have to offer and your value add. But I've had so many people reach out to me because, hey, I saw something you wrote on Facebook and I really resonated with that. I love how you think. I love your opinion. I love your picture. I love certain things that you say. So you might lose a few by being too personal and have an opinion, but I've gained more than I've lost because of being a real person and because of having core values that I stick to, no matter what the hell the mainstream is saying. This is Teresa Agostinelli, Prof T from Philly. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Teresa. And I'm going to be a little constructive to what you said, and I appreciate it. I always appreciate your opinion. But from a strategy perspective, from a real estate professional perspective, as a professional, I don't want to see a real estate professional talking bad about another real estate professional or talking bad in general about their personal opinion. Okay. As a real estate professional, there's a certain level that you need to stay at. You need to be a resource, okay, of insight to the industry. You need to be a trendsetter to the real estate industry. You need to provide market updates and give content behind it, not just posting an article, giving some insight to that article, giving it credit, giving it credibility. And if you're going to tag somebody or involve somebody, reach out to them and say, listen, do you mind if I leverage your presence to mine to enhance what I'm trying to accomplish here? Have an open discussion. There has to be a cost benefit relationship to why you're leveraging somebody, okay? Or leveraging with somebody. How about say it that way? Um, you know, and highlighting, like if you're a real estate professional in a very specific area, you need to highlight that community, those other fellow businesses. You need, if say you have an open house, why aren't you highlighting that coffee shop down the block, that luncheonette, that antique store, doing a little video tidbit of that downtown corridor? Why aren't you being involved? Okay. It's not about just making millions of dollars or making whatever you think you're making in the industry. You don't want to be, you want to be stay ahead. You want to be very consistent and continuous. And what I see out there is the lack of consistency and continuity in marketing, in providing insight, in being a trend center. And it's not all about Facebook. It's not all about LinkedIn. It's everything. You need to have an honest balance of your social media platform. Where are you? Who are you? What is your why? And what are you trying to create and generate inquiry? What type of inquiry do you want on Monday? What kind of inquiry do you want on Tuesday? What type of conversation you want to have with 15 different people per day? How many people who do you want to text to see how they're doing? Just do a personal check-in. Hey, how are you? I was thinking about you. Is there anything I could be here to be for you there for you? Is there somebody I can make an introduction for you? I offer everybody here, is there somebody I can introduce to you to make your business better on Monday? That's a question. You're listening in. I see a lot of you that follow and listen into this room every single week, and I thank every one of you. But is there something I can do to make a difference in your business on Monday? Is there somebody I can make an introduction to? Is there somebody you can introduce to me that I can impact their world? That's social media. That's how you connect the dots from a domino perspective in a positive way. If you dedicate yourself 15 minutes a day to something every day, you're doing more than 90% of the people around you in the same industry from a social media. If you post 2 things a day, say at a 9 a.m. and a 12 noon, inspiration, education, every day, 7 days a week, you are doing more than the average industry professional in your space, in your community, by 90%. Good morning, Jessica. Welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to the discussion, how to build unlimited traffic on social media.
Good morning, guys. Grateful to be here. My name is Jessica Taylor. I am a real estate broker in the suburbs of Chicago, western suburbs. And I'm just here. I'm really taking these nuggets. This is fantastic. Feeling a little bit convicted this morning. You know, when I first got started in the business, I feel like I did a great job at adding value, being entertaining, being educational, because I didn't have anything else to do. I didn't have anything to brag about. I didn't fall into the rut of what us real estate agents do. And lately, it's been a lot of just listed, just sold. Yeah, kind of vanilla. And so this is a great conversation. Grateful to be here. Thank you.
Jessica, if you want to leave yourself on mic, I got an idea for you, right? Chicago's a great market. You know, there's always some negative, media coverage, of course, in most of the major cities. Have you thought about promoting or posting some of your business partners, or featuring them in a little 5 minute, like a 60 to 90 second discussion on who they are, what they do, and 5 tips from them that can impact your circle of influence? Have you ever thought about something like that? Like a title company, a lender, a general contractor, the local coffee shop, the local antique shop. Is there something that you think that you can do that will make an impact, an impression for people as a licensed real estate agent, and kind of stand you out?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And actually today, as you said that earlier, I was thinking I have an open home this afternoon, and it's in a darling little town, and there is a sweet little coffee shop right there. And just a couple days ago, they started following me on Instagram, and I'm like, I'm going to pop in there and I'm going to feature them, and I'm going to grab my coffee, bring it to the open home, and kind of share that. And I'm sure that my lender will show up at the open home, and maybe we'll do a little video together. So this is powerful. Just remembering that it's, inspiration, education, entertainment. It's not, look at Jessica, she's great. It's about others, right? Mafi, make others feel important. So this is awesome.
Yeah, and then there's also some home related helpful products or tips. Tips of the trade. Urdell and I did that for several years. I did these 60-second 5 tips of the trade. I threw some breadcrumb out and just let the pigeons flock. I gave them just enough information, gave them my contact information for follow-up. Boom, done. Post on Instagram, Facebook, here, there, everywhere. And it's about not stuffing the loaf of bread down their throat. It's about portion control of your social media. Okay? You got to eliminate the negative.
And as you said that too, it makes me think of I want an attraction-based business, right? I want to, you're right. Just put a little morsel out there, get them intrigued, interested, and have them, reach out for more rather than shoving it down their throat and chasing them away, right?
Yeah, and I could tie something into Teresa. She always posts her professional accomplishments in a nice way. When she's at an event or a speaking opportunity, she'll post it. She'll recognize the organization, thanking them for the speaking time. Okay, tagging them, saying, "Hey," giving them. So I immediately go in. I'll see that where Teresa says that, and then I will like that page. I will follow that page. Okay, because she posted it. I thought it was interesting. Okay. I didn't get invited. I'm not insulted, but hey, I digress. It's okay. I just pick on Teresa because I can.
Joe, I can't invite you to the ladies' events, my friend.
But I love ladies, so you could always invite me. I love ladies.
You can invite me to speak anytime you want, my friend.
I just like to bust you. So, listen, posting, information about others and looking like a very well-balanced machine in the real estate professional industry is important. You listen, a lot of us are natural born introverts. You need to break that. Okay. Not all of us were the star athlete. Not all of us was the stage actor that was up on stage talking in front of people. This is a lot of what things that we do are forced based on what we do from a saleswoman or salesman perspective. You need to get yourself out there every single day, providing tips and strategies, being that insightful professional, the kind-hearted professional with people that want to work with you. You want people to feel compelled and comfortable to reach out to you and call you and have a discussion. So how do you do that? You have to make it warming. You have to make it feel comfortable. You have to be consistent. You can't look desperate in your marketing strategy. You can't just like, okay, I'm not going to market for the next 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden nobody's calling me. I better get working on things. Yordell, where do you think it all starts? Is it video? Is it the profiles? Is it the content strategy? What's your thoughts to this before we continue with some of our other great moderators?
It's really hard to
Yordell?
say. Oh, can you hear
Yep.
me? Oh,
Yep.
it's really hard to say because, yeah, in my time thus far, like when I've been working with clients, I've had them come to me at all different stages of their process. I've had people come to me who have basically said, "Listen, I have the website," and I looked at their website and it was solid. It was at least as well as I could did for them myself with my team, but they didn't have the social media presence, so I built that for them. I've had others come to me and say, "Look, I have the social media presence. I have thousands of followers on my Facebook page. I have tens of thousands on Instagram. I don't know what to do with the traffic." So it's basically I just built the website with a simple form page and the landing. They could drive all that too. So as far as where it starts, I would tell any particular individual organization, start where they feel most comfortable starting. Some people are going to feel comfortable starting with a website. Some are going to feel comfortable with a page on Instagram. There are some people they're going to feel comfortable just being out on the street, doing networking events, creating events, or going to them. So it's hard for me to have this like one idea fits all. It's just I would tell people start where they feel most comfortable starting.
I think building your profile first somewhere is most important because that is basically the taffy that you got to pull two different ways. You got to just stretch that out, horizontally. So I really think you really have to be comfortable with your resume, your content, hiring somebody that really understands how to put together good content resume of who you are. I'm constantly looking at my LinkedIn profile and copy and pasting that into the other sites. I want consistency. I want the billboard mentality of south of the border over and over and over again. It drives me crazy when I try to connect with somebody on LinkedIn. One, I can't even find them. Two, their LinkedIn is from like 3 jobs ago. For three, they don't even have a picture up. Okay, listen, the professional pictures I got done, one, she was fantastic. Two, it was $300. You're $300 away from looking at like a true real estate professional. Think about that. $300 a ring. Good morning, Yolanda. Welcome. Thank you for coming up. I invited you. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion, how to build unlimited traffic on social media.
Hey, thank you, Joe. Hi, everybody. Yolanda Smith-Charles from the Metro Detroit area, and I am a licensed realtor and investor in the making, if you will. And digital marketing is kind of my jam. So this is excellent conversation, Joseph. And I do like that new PTR you got there. It looks great.
Thank you.
When I was listening to the conversation, I thought of myself in a number of ways, but a couple of things that came to mind were who's your audience, know where they are, and to be engaging, right? So who's your audience? Is it investors, sellers, buyers? Because you want to look at your social media profiles and just take a look at the content you're posting. Is it drawing in people into your community? Is it focused on, like you said, educating and inspiring sellers? So those are kind of things that I think are really important to get clear on that customer client avatar that you've heard before. And then asking ourselves, where are these people? Are they on Instagram? Not talking to myself, I had to pull myself away from this, but some of you may be listening thinking, wow, I spent a lot of time on Instagram. I put a lot of time into my posts and what to put and what they should look like. But is your audience on Instagram? Typically Instagram is people 45 and under. I'm looking to work with 85-year-olds. Typically, I'm not going to find them on Instagram. I'll probably find their grandkids who are probably 45, but not the 85. So I want to encourage people to think about searchability. So when you're posting, I've yet to Google myself and see anything I posted on Instagram, but I see the things I post on LinkedIn. I see the things I post on YouTube and sometimes even on Facebook. So certainly Google yourself, the name that you're in business under, and see what comes up. I just did that this morning because, Joe, you said something when I first came in the room about politics and all of that good stuff. I'm happy to say that I was an elected official before I was a realtor. So my history is right there for the search. But I also got my Realtor Association's endorsement. So I know that there's a world where I can be a politician and serve my community in selling homes and buying homes, right? So I just want to put that out there that we don't have to, what happened to the First Amendment? But I do have different pages for different things. So when I go hard in the paint, which I do when it comes to politics, it's not on my main profile. I have other spaces. They may call those burner accounts for when I want to really go hard when it comes to things I feel super passionate about, but don't want to ostracize my audience. So the last thing is to just be engaging. One thing this app has shown me, like if I tap on many of the profiles here, a lot of people don't have social links. Nothing's connected. And I just don't understand, as real estate professionals, like our business is to be found. Go ahead and add your links. If you don't have Instagram, just go grab an Instagram and lock down your name and attach it here, because people can message you and things like that. So I could go on, but this is a great conversation. And it just starts with identifying who you want to serve and where those people are on social.
Yolanda, I want to thank you. I want to appreciate you understanding, separating, church and state. I'll call it. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's very hard to keep politics outside of real estate and real estate out of politics. But it sounds like you have found a balance in what you're trying to accomplish. And guess what? You have the right for your opinion. Till they try to take that away completely, you have your rights. Okay, and I'm not here to. I agree to disagree, and and that's how, I know what I know and I know what I don't know. But I just feel from a social media, for me, this is for me, and I feel it works for me. I want to be an influencer. I want to be consistent with it. I want to provide insight. I had a reckoning of life 5 years ago, and I just want to be very consistent in what I'm doing. I keep my circle very tight, and I keep my information very consistent. I learned something from this is all like from 20 years ago. You just got to be consistent and continuous with something. If you're gonna go out and network, it's got to be consistent. Okay. If you're gonna run an event, you need to be consistent. Like you can't just think about running an event every once in a while. It's either you're gonna do it on a month-to-month basis or you're not gonna do it at all. Okay. So like Yordell and I, we decided we've been helping somebody put together an event. We're now kind of putting our arms wrapped around it, and we're going to kind of take it back in and really enhance it, because now we have a physical office. We're now having a Saturday coffee and connection event there with somebody else. It's becoming a go-to for people to feel comfortable, whether you're a newer investor or the more experienced investor, to find comfort in coming to our offices. It's a great workspace. And I'm actually speaking at the event next month. We're getting the promotions out. We're being very consistent in what we're doing. And with the podcast as well, I offer the opportunity to feature every single one of you. If you need me to feature you, come down to the podcast, come down to the office. If it has to be virtual, we'll do it via Zoom. But I'm not going to force anybody. I'm going to keep podcasting the podcast from Clubhouse because I want to I want people to see that I'm an educator. I'm trying to give them insight. And I think that's a lot of people confuse themselves with social media. They don't understand that people are looking at you and they're trying to size up an opinion of you from your social media profiles. So you really you can't erase some things, okay? So once you put something out there from a marketing perspective, it's kind of concreted. So you really need to think about what you want to have out there. Obviously, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, posting regularly while experimenting with different forms of content is very important. Interacting with your followers, engaging with them. Like, why haven't we had an off Clubhouse discussion? And I just put that out there altogether. Joining groups and pages to learn how to drive engagement. Exploring different type of advertising features. So I'm going away for a vacation for 11 days. So we're not going to have a weekend event next weekend. No Saturday and Sunday. But when I get back, I'm going to sit down with Yordell and Sarah Winsky and say, hey, where should I boost ads based on what we're doing right now with video work and advertisements? And I'm going to spend money in specific areas because I don't want to spend money across the whole board because I want to see what the impact is. If I do this specific boost in Instagram, what am I going to see over the next 30 to 60 days? If I do this boost in LinkedIn, what am I going to see over the next 30 to 60 days, or Meetup or Eventbrite or Facebook? I want to see what that does. Like, I'm going to sit down with Yordell. I want to be at 10,000 followers by the end of this year on Facebook on my business page. What do I need to do strategically and financially to get there? How to identify investment lead generation from social media. How does that work? Is it doing polls and strategy discussions? Is it by doing video or podcasting? Is it interviewing others? Is it featuring other businesses or community leaders in your market? Will that impact your bottom line as a influencer in your profession in real estate? Good morning, Mr. ADU, the OG of Clubhouse, Mr. Rogelio Martinez. Welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion, how to build unlimited traffic on social media. Rogelio, are you awake? Going once. Rogelio going twice. He is calling in from the West Coast, so you never know. So we'll come back to Rogelio if he's available. I want to do a quick feature of our Realty 411 Investor Summit in Philadelphia. Join us April 13th and April 14th. We are still looking for some featured speakers. So if you'd like to be one of the featured speakers on Saturday at the Mummer Museum between 9 and 5, please reach out to myself or Linda Pelagas, who's typically here on Sunday mornings. And we're here to hopefully provide some enhanced education at this event. So I'm really excited about it. It's our second annual. We had about 175 people last year. Goal is to have about 250 people. It's a complement event to what Jim and Tim are putting together in Denver. I really appreciate what's gone on through Clubhouse because you know what? It's been a great social media tool, meeting and greeting with people, helping enhancing people's business. And that's what social media traffic is all about. How do we game change you in your social media strategy? I've gone to events specifically to see if I could identify a golden nugget through real estate professionals. I've seen different methods. I feel that nobody talks about the consistency. It's called, internal in your heart. Nobody's going to make you do anything. And even if you hire somebody, and you can hire VAs that are out there that are excellent, okay? But you got to give them content to post and feed. Okay, I'm going to be hiring somebody for the Instagram piece and the YouTube piece, but I have to keep feeding them content. I have to continuously do these podcasts then Yordell has to cut and edit these podcasts and then provide them that content. So there's still a lot of work. You need to sit down with your newfound power team. One, it's definitely going to be a social media strategist. Two, a social media branding specialist. So they're definitely different. And sometimes the individuals that do the social media are not the individuals that do the social media graphics. So you got to identify a lot of different pieces to that puzzle to get consistent information out there. When I put a post on Instagram, it's not just about posting the link, it's about putting a image along with that article. So I have to research images from Google, and I want to look at the top 10 images that relate back to the article where I can post that, where I'm going to get the most amount of gravity, and then I'm going to give kudos to those articles. So social media is not just about posting how you feel. It's about posting things, especially in the real estate investment space or real estate professional space, about giving back. We've been doing this for several years now on Clubhouse, and we're just enhancing it. I just wanted to find something that was going to be different that nobody else is doing. So it's kind of interesting. I am colleagues with some other other Clubhouse groups here, and I reached out to a couple of them and invited them to come on to a podcast with me. I called about 10 of them. Guess how many phone calls I got back? Anybody want to give it?
I'm going to say two.
Two? And Yolanda, how many do you think?
None.
Yolanda is the winner chicken dinner.
Oh, come on. That's awful.
It is awful, but at least they're consistent. I'm a big fan of consistency. So I'm a big also fan. If you're going to be a social media presence, you better be a damn good communicator. If somebody private messages you, you better get back to them. If somebody texts you, you better get back to them. If they email you, you better get back to them. Just don't put all this content out and you cannot support the communication. Everything is behind the communication of social media. It's about getting back to people. It drives me crazy when I try to call somebody and their voicemail is all banged up and I can't leave a message. Like how am I supposed to communicate with them? How do you not have a voicemail as a real estate professional or a real estate service? That is the most unwelcoming approach of being a real estate professional. If anybody has a filled up voicemail down below, I'm sorry I'm insulting your intelligence, but that too shall pass. I want to talk to somebody. I want to get in depth with somebody for 5 to 10. I think more consumers and more investors appreciate you taking that 15 minutes of really making them feel part of your fabric and making them really feel part of what you're doing. And they feel your passion. Social media is about feeling your passion. And if you need to have a strategy discussion about your profile, let me know. I'll look at it. I'll tell you, the good, bad, and the ugly about it. I mean, I'm here to be hopefully a part of your power team. I'm not here to be, a critic. I'm here to be constructive, help you build out your plan. I'm providing you who I work with on a consistent manner. We have probably a daily discussion 7 days a week about one thing or another social media related. Because I'm so intense and passionate about what I do. And if you're not passionate about what you do, you have to kind of look in the mirror and figure out, is this what I want to do? Is this my why? You can go to all the events in the world, but you could still be by yourself. You'd be very lonely in this industry. One thing I do agree with Teresa. I am at 3 to 4 events a week. I do get there a half hour, 45 minutes early. Being early is on time. Being on time, you're late. You want to be the gracious host or hostess to every event you go to. You want to introduce people. You want to be the art of networking. You want to become the art of networking at the events. You don't want to just take one person and just talk to them all night. You want to introduce them to others, hand them off. Make sure you got their information where you can have a solid follow-up. Connect with them on LinkedIn and thank them for the time. Send them an email. Every individual I get a business card or they text me their information, they get a very customized email to follow up. They go onto our CRM and they're now on our drip campaign. I'm going to stay in the know with those individuals. And that's how being consistent and continuous in social media and building out your platforms consistently with great information and content day in and day out is going to make you a very successful real estate professional. I'm telling you for a fact. So we had a great 60 minutes of great content here. I want to thank everybody. I think there's some great information that was provided here. I think the moderators gave some great personal thought to what they bring to the room as real estate professionals, and they were pretty honest. And we're here every Saturday morning, 8 a.m. and every Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. Next Saturday and Sunday, we are off. I am away. So I just decided not to have it. I know Jim and Tim might have some midday events, and Garrett will have his midday weekend events, but I will not be available next weekend at all. I want everybody to have a great Saturday morning. And I love to always finish with a great quote. And I love Winnie the Pooh. So we're going to go with don't walk behind me. I may not lead. Don't walk in front of me. I may not follow. Just walk beside me and be my friend. Everybody have a great Saturday morning. Take care of yourself. Follow us. Connect with us. Let's have a strategy discussion. And we'll be back tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. here on Clubhouse and back on the Creative Birth Strategies podcast. Have a great day. Thank you. I'll be ending the room in the next 30 seconds.